Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to this webinar on using video in ELT from Sensations English. I'm Adam, the ELT specialist at Sensations English, and today we are delighted to welcome Vicky Salmel, who will be speaking on the topic of best practices for teaching with video synchronously. Just a reminder that if you are watching this webinar live, a CPD certificate will be sent to you by email within 24 hours of this webinar. If you are watching the recording, please make a note of your own professional development activity. The webinar will last an hour and will include time for questions at the end of Vicky's talk. Please write your questions in the Q&A box. The Q&A button appears when you move your mouse to the bottom of the Zoom window. If someone has already written the same question, you can click the thumbs up button next to the question to move it higher up the list rather than writing it again. And if you need any help during the webinar, please contact me in the chat box. Sensations English is focused on helping teachers develop their skills, and we are delighted to be hosting our first webinar series using video in ELT. We hope this will help you to expand how you use video with your classes. We are delighted to offer teachers hundreds of video resources, all graded at 5 CFR levels, and all with ready-made materials and learning activities, making video accessible to all learners and hassle-free for teachers. Every week, we create 3 fresh 5-level resources to give you the most up-to-date content to use with all of your learners. Our Sensations English Teachers Edition includes logins for all your students and a digital teacher gradebook, which lets you organize your students into classes, set tasks and monitor them live, and review your learners' progress over time. And to celebrate our webinar series, we're offering you a 50% discount on the Sensations English Teachers Edition if you sign up during May, and access to a special 3-week CPD program which is going to start on Monday, the 31st of May. To get this great offer, you can go to sensationsenglish.com/subscribe teacher or follow the link, which I'll place in the chat. But to tell you a little more about Vicky, today's speaker, Vicky Salmel is a teacher, trainer, materials writer, and presenter. She teaches primary and secondary level in Buenos Aires, and she's also a freelance author, a writer and trainer for major publishers, and joint coordinator of IATEFL's Learning Technologies SIG. And she has a professional website at vickysalmel.com. Vicky, once again, thank you very much for being here, and it's over to you.
Yeah. So, hi everybody. Here I am. I'm Vicky Salmel. Happy to be here with you all. Wherever you are. I see there are lots of people from Latin America. So it's morning in Latin America, and lots of people from other parts of the world. So it's great to see you here. I hope I will live up to the expectations of sharing some best practices for using video synchronously in your classes. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And so the idea today is to have a look at 3 aspects of teaching video synchronously. The first is going to be why we should be using video in the language classroom. The second is how to choose the right videos for the language classroom. And the third is going to be, once we have chosen the right videos, how to use these videos effectively. And I will do that by showing you some strategies for using the videos, okay? So are we ready? Let's go on. I'm ready. So I'm going to start by showing you one opinion by a teacher on why we should use, or why we use videos in the classroom. This opinion comes from a book that I recommend. It's called Language Learning with Digital Video by Paul Driver and Ben Goldstein. And in this book, I found some quotes from teachers. This is one of them. This teacher says that people connect to visual content because it engages them. So before I move on and show you other opinions, I would like to ask you, if you use video in the classroom, why? Why do you use video? Can you please type in the chat? It's more engaging. Content in a capsule. We'll get to that. Motivating. Ooh, super. Authenticity. Yes, we'll get there too. Visual learners. Accessible, attractive, provoking discussion. The chat is going so fast that I may be missing something. Of course, listening, contextualizing, active. Oh, okay, grammar and context. Super. I think I'm going to go into all of the things you're saying, okay? Multimodality, make the class alive, thought-provoking. Wow, great, great, excellent. So let me show you 3 more opinions by teachers. The other is that visual stimuli is processed faster in the brain than text. And of course, there is research to prove that, okay? So we process visual elements 60,000 times faster than text. Can you believe that? It's like incredible. It's a window on the world. Yes, and we're going to go into that too. And authentic videos provide an enormous amount of cultural information economically. And as you can see, I have highlighted in bold some words, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to translate these opinions into what the research, I'm going to try to back up these opinions with what the research says about why using videos is good for the language classroom. So we have engagement, we have visual stimuli, we have authenticity, and we have cultural information as 4 aspects that are mentioned in these opinions, and all the other things that you were mentioning in the chat that are absolutely spot on, okay? So let's have a look at what the research shows. The research shows that these are some of the benefits of using video with your classes, okay? And so let's start with engagement at the top, yes? And what I found is that, I'm going to read this because it's statistics and I really don't remember the exact numbers all the time. Videos get 1,200% more shares than text and images combined. And this is not talking about ELT, this is talking about social media in general. So if people share videos, yes, 1,200%, yes, more times than text and images, it goes to show that videos are more engaging. And so people feel engaged and want to share a video, all right? The brain, as I said before, processes text, processes images, visuals much faster than text. And the number is 60,000 times faster. I couldn't believe it when I was reading it. It's like, really? 60,000 times faster? Well, so the other thing is that about 90% of the total information transmitted to your brain is visual. So the brain is really used to coping with images. So engagement. So we know that using videos will create more engagement. Let's have a look at effectiveness. And in this sense, I want to mention some features of videos that make them really effective. One is the reusability of a video, meaning you can use the same video with different classes, the same video with different language levels. We'll talk about that later. And you can repetition. You can play the same video over and over again. Students can rewatch the same video over and over again, the number of times they wish. Okay, so it's very easy. And the possibility of having closed captions or subtitles in a video also makes it really effective for scaffolding the learning process of lower level students, for example. If there is authentic language and it may be too difficult, having closed captions can help. And having closed captions is also very effective, of course, for certain disabilities, deaf people, hard of hearing. So the possibility of watching and reading, yeah, it's very, very effective. The third benefit I want to talk about is authenticity. And I am a big advocate. You don't know, you may not know much about me, but if there are two things I really love, it's one is learning technologies, the other is project-based learning. And for project-based learning, I'm a huge advocate of using authentic materials, whatever the level of the students. So we're going to go into authenticity now, authenticity of videos. And authenticity allows you to keep the authentic language, which makes it real. It's not graded. But what you can do is you can grade the task. So you keep the authenticity and you can grade the task according to the language level of your students. Now, the next benefit is visual cues. And visual cues are essential. We talked about how faster the brain processes visual elements and all that, and how much more engaging they are. But visual aids in general, whether it is a moving image like a video or just a picture, they aid comprehension and they improve retention. Yeah, so it's no wonder that many times a very complex article is accompanied by an infographic. And an infographic is doing that, is adding the visual element to the text features, okay? And that's why infographics are so popular, because it's more easily digested if you have visuals, all right? So the key here should be show more, tell less. And this is kind of paradoxical in a language classroom where we are so used to using text, yes, and the text-driven approaches to language learning. So start using more videos and more images. Show more, tell less, and make key information comprehensible through the use of visual aids. The last benefit is personalization. And personalization can mean a lot of different things. But for example, it can mean that you can choose the same video, specifically in the case of Sensations English, where you have access to a video on a topic, and the same video is graded in 5 different levels from A1 to C1. So A1, A2, B1, B2, C1. And so you can use the same video and use different language level according to your students. You can personalize which video you want each student to see while still keeping the same topic. That's one thing. The other is you can have students choose a video to make it even more personal. So within a topic, students could be able to choose a video. Or you can have students watch the same video, but you can personalize the task after the video. So have different choices of task so that students can choose what to do with it. Of course, all of this depends on your objectives, and we are going to look at that in much more detail during the presentation. But so 5 benefits: engagement, effectiveness, authenticity, visual cues, and personalization. And that is why we say videos are very useful in the ELT classroom. However, everything I have said so far is very positive. And so is that like, okay, so there's no negative thing about using videos, negative aspects. And indeed, there are some negative aspects, and I can attest to that because I have seen videos being used in very ineffective ways by teachers, not only language teachers, but content area teachers in general education. So this question that appeared in an article I read, which I found very useful, and you have the link there if you want to read it later, says, is the learning process being hindered by an excessive and oftentimes ineffective use of video? So we're going to ask ourselves 2 things. Why excessive? Why ineffective? And we are going to try to prove this wrong. So we are going to find what is the right frequency so that the use is not excessive, and what is the right way to use videos so that it is effective. All right. Okay. Let's move on. I have my notes here just in case, but so we have wrapped up why we should use videos in the classroom according to teachers' opinions and research. And we have raised a question in terms of, okay, but what about this? What about too much video or an ineffective use of it? So in the next part, I'm going to show you what I think are the ways of, or some tips to choose the right video. Yes, which is the second part of our session. And so I'm going to focus on 2 things. I'm going to focus on length and frequency, and I'm going to focus on topic and purpose. These 4 things are 4 criteria that you need to follow in order to choose the right videos for your classroom. And of course, there is no recipe. Okay, I'm going to give you the general criteria, and then, as everything else in life, you need to apply it with judgment to your own particular contexts, which are all different. And context is number of students, language level, age, educational situation. Are you at school? Is it a private language school? Is it a one-on-one class? So there are too many things to take into account when choosing the right video. So let's go on to length and frequency. In terms of length, and now I'm going to research on marketing, yes, not talking about ELT in particular, but marketing in general, the research shows that no more than 2 minutes or around the 2-minute mark to keep engagement at the top. And after that, engagement starts falling, okay? So I was happy to see that most of the videos in Sensations English are around the 2-minute mark. So 2 minute, 2 minute 10, the tops. And so this makes them ideal, all right? In terms of frequency, well, in terms of frequency, I'm afraid I don't have an answer to that because that is so context related. But mostly we need to ask ourselves, how much screen time are our students having already? Do we want to add more screen time? And if we do, yes, how many videos are we going to show? Yes, how often? Every class? how long the videos. Are we going to show a whole movie, or are we going to show clips? So we're going to try to find an answer to that throughout the session. But this is a very, very personal decision, okay? The next two criteria for choosing, oh, sorry, not yet. I found this lovely, lovely, lovely graphic in a study, in a research study, that shows, if you look at the first circle, it shows that from 1 minute to 2 minutes, engagement is steady at 70%. And after that, it starts falling dramatically. And then at about the 6 minute mark, it levels off until the 12th minute. So what can we learn from the statistics about engagement and the length of a video? Depending on the use and the purpose for watching the video, the general rule is that 1 to 2 minutes is the ideal length. If you need to have a longer video, then it doesn't matter if it is 3 or if it is 12, because between 6 and 12, there is no change in engagement. It remains at 50%. Now the question is, why would I need to show a longer video and not keep to 2 minutes? And the answer, there are many answers to that, but I would say that if you need the video to focus entirely on content to develop and deepen students' learning on a certain topic, 2 minutes may be too short. So you will need a longer video. So if you need a longer video to develop content, then you shouldn't be afraid to have a video that is up to 12 minutes long, because there is no difference in engagement before that, okay? So, all right, let's go on to the next two criteria for choosing your videos. One is topic, yes? And this is, okay, so maybe you start with, I want to show a video. What about? Yes? And I would say that normally that's not the way you start. The way you start is you already have a topic that could be course book related. So you are using a course book, or you are using certain materials and a topic comes up. And so what you want to do is you want to complement the text-driven course book material with a video. So you're going to try to find a video that matches the topic in your materials, yes? And now you can do two things. Either choose a video that shares the same topic and the same perspective on this topic, or you can choose a video that shares the same topic, but sheds light on a different perspective of it, so as to introduce some kind of discussion, all right? Or even if you're using a course book and materials, or if you're not using any materials, you may want to introduce a standalone video on a topic based on your students' interests. So you have learned that most of your students like something, and you want to do a video-based activity about that topic, yes, which is totally unrelated to your course book. Any of these ideas are fine, but it's important to choose the topic carefully, all right? Now, the next criteria, and I think this is probably one of the most important, is the purpose of watching the video. Why are you okay, you found the video on a topic that you want to share, but why are you going to watch the video? What are the students going to do with it? So purpose is essential, and purpose needs to be decided before students watch the video, and students need to know, okay? So what are possible purposes? Let's have a look. The first is background knowledge, which means You want students to learn a little bit about something before you dive into it. Yes? So you are going to extend their background knowledge. Another possibility is that, as I said before, you have used certain materials on a topic, and now you want to use a video to enrich that text. So that's a whole different purpose. Another possibility, and here we could use a longer video, is you have gone into a topic and you want students to really deepen their learning on this topic. So you may choose a longer video to do that and to get into much more detail on the topic. And of course, since we are talking about the language classroom, the purpose of watching a video could be language, could be linguistic. And when we talk about a linguistic purpose can be identifying words or chunks, skills practice, identifying functions or grammar structures within what's being used in the video. And another one is to explore pronunciation, of course, because we are hearing something. So to explore pronunciation, to explore accents, for example, which is really, really good if you want to teach English as a lingua franca and you don't want to focus on one only particular accent. It's great to show students videos of different people with different accents and get them used to listening to that. So we said how to choose videos, 4 criteria: length, frequency, topic, and purpose. All right. Now, let me give you a short example by using a screenshot of the website Sensations English. So imagine that in my course book, there is some material related to innovation. So it's really interesting. And so I went on the Sensations English website and I saw that the videos are organized into categories: community, culture, entertainment, hard news, innovation, lifestyle, and natural world. And then each of these categories has subcategories if you want to explore further in detail. So I said, okay, I'm going to filter all the videos related to innovation. And this is what I've done. There are a couple more, but I didn't want to mess up the screen with too many choices. So these are some of the videos categorized as innovation videos. I'm going to ask you a question now. And what do you think? We're going to talk, okay, we discussed topic. Innovation is in the course book. I want to use a video about innovation. You can either choose the video yourself, or you can have students choose the video. If you are going to choose the video yourself, you need to decide what the purpose of watching that video is going to be. So this is a bit tricky because you haven't seen the videos, but you have the screenshots and you have the titles. So you're going to do a little guesswork now, which is, can you think of one of these videos? Can you imagine what the video is about? And can you tell me what purpose there could be for watching that particular video? And so if you can think of that, I want you to type it in the chat. Can you please do that for me? Choose one video or maybe more than one and say, I would use this video for this purpose. Students may help with choosing the video. Definitely, I am a huge advocate for choice in the classroom. Whenever you can let your students choose, they own their work more. Okay, Singapore, solar farms for lessons about climate change. So excellent. Okay, if you're teaching medical vocabulary, violinist plays during brain surgery to expand vocabulary, super. Power from plants to discuss man-nature relationship, yes. Environmental pollution. Maybe the robot one to introduce the unit. Yes, a unit about robotics, that would be great. You can use solar farms to work on Lexis. Robot dog to teach innovations, language of science, future prediction, power from plants. Yay, lovely suggestions, and you keep them coming. Absolutely wonderful. Yes. Okay. Oh, look at that. Robot dog goes to work to raise issues with the future of artificial intelligence. I like that. Yes. Oh, Cecilia suggests that you use the video to compare it with the information from a text. And I'm going to do something similar further on down the road in the session. So I'll come back to this. Floating solar farms predictions. Yes. Wow. Super ideas. You see, you don't need me. Okay. So this is how you go about it. Of course, you would, if here we are guessing what the language in the video would be, but you would watch the video, make sure the language is there, the language you want to practice is there, or the language you want to model, or the topic, or whatever. You may make a list of key vocabulary if that is what you are aiming at. So essentially, you are going to have to do some work with the video before you actually go into the classroom and show the video. It's not just, oh, I found this video, let's play it. All right. Of course, this involves planning from the part of the teacher. Okay. And so with this said, I am going to wrap up the how to choose videos with a chart that is adapted from a paper that I read. The paper is from Jane Willis, you know, the creator of task-based learning. She wrote a paper in 1983 called The Implications of Using Video in the EFL Classroom. And you might say, oh my God, 1983, that's like too long ago. But still, what she had to say is very useful as a framework today. So what she says is that she could identify 4 roles for the use of video in the classroom. And the first one is language focus, in which the video presents a language model, grammar structures, words, chunks, comprehension. All right. If you are going to use a video for language focus, the right level of language is essential because comprehension is essential, okay? So you wouldn't want to use a video where the language is much higher up than the student's language level. Of course, this also applies to pronunciation, intonation, discourse analysis. So it depends on the language level of your students and what level of detail into language you want to go into. Okay, skills practice. Of course, if we are using video, we are going to be practicing listening. If we are using the closed captions, you are reading the closed captions. And of course, if you're listening, you may be using listening as a model for speaking later in a follow-up task. So you can be doing lots of integrated skills when you use a video. Now, the third use is stimulus, and that means that you are going to show a video early on at the beginning of a lesson to be a catalyst for follow-up classroom tasks, okay? So the video is the starting point. And the last use is the video as a resource, as a source of information, as a source of content for enriching a text, for deepening students' learning. So you see, I'm going back to all the other things we said before, and these uses are quite simple to understand. All right, so again, let's wrap up. We looked at why we need to use videos, and we looked at how do I choose the right video for my classroom? Okay, and now we're going to jump into the third and final part of the session, which is, okay, now I have chosen the video. How do I use the video effectively? All right, so let's have a look at the way I have organized the next part of the session. And this is, of course, something the teachers are very familiar with, which is before, during, and after strategies. Yes, before watching, during watching, after watching. All right, let's dive into before viewing strategies. Before you even watch the videos, yes, there are some things you can do, and these things are good for activating schemata or background knowledge, so that the students' minds or brains are ready to take in what the video shows, to raise interest in a topic before they watch the video, to elicit a response and then see if we can confirm that, to provide background information and context, and of course, to preview vocabulary. Yeah, there may be some vocabulary that needs previewing. And so I have made this chart. I know it has numbers. Numbers do not mean that this have to be done in this order. And also, it doesn't mean that you have to do all the strategies, okay? So I'm just going to mention what the strategies are. We are going to try some. And of course, then when you have your video, you will need to choose which strategy to use. You're not going to use all the strategies on the same video. The first is really the first, and we talked about that. We said, okay, definitely, we need a viewing purpose, and the viewing purpose comes before watching the video. All right, and I'm going to go over it again, and I'm going to relate this with Jane Willis's use. So if students need to identify language, yes, the purpose is identifying language. This matches Jane Willis's use of language focus and skills practice. If the viewing purpose is enriching a text or deepening students' learning, you are using the video as a resource. And sorry, I missed it here, but if you're going to use a video to spark a discussion, yes, or to elicit a response, then you're using the video as a stimulus. So let's say that you have chosen your video and you have chosen your purpose. And now there are 3 things you could do before watching the video. I'm going to go over to each of these strategies on different slides. So, preview. You can do a preview strategy by selecting screen captures, doing screen captures of the video you have chosen. Of course, these have to be meaningful screen captures, like you need to decide what parts of the video are essential to be used to understand the video. And so through meaningful screen captures, you can have students identify topic, context, preview vocabulary. All right. So I'm going to ask you now, if you can very quickly in the chat, predict or tell me what the topic of this video is. Okay, first aid, safety on the road, accidents, health issues, measuring pollution, first aid training, research and pollution, rescue, accidents. Ooh, lovely. Okay, rescue babies in danger. I love that. Health and safety. Okay, some kind of medical intervention for children, rescue. Okay, you see, we have so many opinions. This is what we want from students, and there are no wrong answers. What we are going to do is when we show the video, we are going to confirm, yes, what the video was about. But at this point, you're not going to say, no, you're wrong. No, that's not what the video is about. Okay, you're going to keep it open. Let students express their opinions. This is what it's about. It's about engagement, raising interest, and having students participate. Okay. So I'm going to go to the next. I'm not going to reveal topic now. I'm going to go to the next one where we are going to see a little bit of this video, which is called Baby Claire. Yes. And I need to look at my notes because in my notes, I have when I want to start the video, which is at 11. So I'm fine. Ooh, I'm not sure. Okay, if you allow me, I'm going to stop sharing and start sharing again because I'm not sure I'm sharing my audio and that might not work. Give me a second. Okay, super. I'm ready now. Sorry for that. Just wanted to check because you would panic if you were not listening to what's going on. So I'm going to put up the volume here and I'm going to start the video. I'm just going to play a little part and then I'm going to freeze frame. Okay, so this is the first strategy, freeze frame, and we'll see what we do when we freeze frame. All right, let's go.
This lifelike doll is lending a hand to scientists who study air quality in Antwerp, Belgium. She's called Claire and her...
Okay, she's called Claire. That's all we know. And she is lending a hand to scientists. What can we say about that? Yeah, let me go to Claire. Let's stop there. So this is my freeze framing. Yeah. Okay, so we're not going to do it now, but I would ask students, okay, she is named Claire. They can see it there written. What do you think Claire is the acronym for? You may have to explain what an acronym is. And then you would ask students to look at the details in the picture and tell what Claire means. All right. So clean the air. Nice suggestions. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit so you hear what it is about.
She's called Claire and her name is an acronym for Clean Air for Everyone.
Clean air for everyone. Okay, clean air for everyone, Claire. So with only that information, I think you already know what the topic is, okay? We're talking, so the ones that said pollution, air pollution, measuring pollution, yeah, this is what Claire does, okay? Perfect. So freeze framing is good for building interest and having students express different opinions and discuss, okay? So I'm going to go with the next strategy, which is silent viewing. And silent viewing means you watch the video, but you don't hear the audio, okay? And this is good to focus on objects, on context, and try to guess the language. Try to guess what the language is that they are using. So I'm going to move a bit to, Okay, I'll make sure my audio is down. We are going to watch a little bit without the audio. Let's have a look. Okay, I'll stop it. Who do you think that man is? What do you think he is doing? What kind of language is he using? Okay, I'm not going to ask you in the chat. You may want to answer, but I'm going to move along, yes, so that we have time to see all the strategies. But essentially, it looks like, if you look at him, it looks like he is explaining something, okay? So the language of explanation. All right, so silent viewing was our strategy. I'm going to go to the next strategy, and this is, these three strategies were for predicting, right? Freeze framing, silent viewing, and now blind listening. Blind listening is the opposite of silent viewing. So you hear, but you don't see, all right? I'm going to play a little part of a video, yes? And the idea is that by listening to it, but not watching, you can visualize what's going on, yes? You can imagine action, characters, setting, whatever. Okay, let's do a very little bit only with audio.
This person is using a longboard. Longboarding is a sport. Now people are dancing on longboards. There are videos of longboard dancing on the internet. Longboard dancing started in America. There is a longboard dancing competition every year. But this year, coronavirus changed things. Now, the competition is online. In the competition, people make videos of longboard dancing.
Okay, so you were listening to the narrator, but there were also some sounds in the background. And so according to what the narrator was saying and according to the sounds you heard, you are imagining things, okay? So you may ask students, okay, what do you think is happening? Who is there? What are they doing? Yes? Okay, so that is blind listening. Let's move on to the last before viewing strategy, which is connect. Before watching the video, you may want to have students connect what they already know. It's good to activate schemata, all right? And so I'm a fan of graphic organizers. I'm not going to go into the detail of graphic organizers, but they are great for scaffolding. And so a KWL chart, which you may be familiar with, is a chart with 3 columns, one for what you know, one for what you wonder or what you want to learn, and the last one for what you have learned after you finish the video. So you would have students completing the 2 first columns before watching the video, and then after they watch the video, they would complete the last column to document their thinking, their knowledge, etc. Okay, and that is a way to connect what they already know with the topic, the content of your video. Okay, this lovely summary chart is just there for you to have all the strategies together, all the before watching strategies. I will make all these charts into a handout and they will be available. So I'm going to move to the during video strategies, and there are 5, yes? Stop, clarify and replay, question, sequence, infer. Of course, these strategies do not take into account traditional listening comprehension tasks like gap fills, listen and fill in the gaps, true or false, tick items of a list, vocabulary or language items, etc. I'm not going to go into that. And all these types of tasks are some of the kinds of tasks that the website offers as a complement to each of the videos. So let's go into our during, our during viewing. Stopping the video at a certain point, yes, we did that and we called it freeze framing, but the objective of freeze framing was to predict what was going to happen next. The objective of stopping the image at a certain point is to be able to focus on that image in particular and focus on what's going on, focusing on the images, on the objects. So I'm going to play a little bit of this. Okay, so I'm stopping the video here. And so I'm going to play a very short thing, and then you tell me language, vocabulary, etc. that you imagine.
Ancient Egyptian pharaohs processed through the streets of Egypt's capital.
Okay, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. My bad. Okay. You would stop there, and before showing the rest, sorry, you would ask students to say, okay, what do you see? Name the objects. What is this? And what do you think is happening? Yes. So you might have, okay, this looks like a parade. There's a band there playing, and a lot of people are marching through the streets. And you may want to ask them if they can identify where this is. And they might be able to say, oh, this looks like Egypt. Maybe not. You can then play a little part to confirm
Egyptian
that.
Pharaohs processed through the streets of Egypt's capital city in honor of Cairo's new National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, or NMEC. The procession of floats contained the mummified remains.
Okay, so this strategy is good for language development through observation. What do you see there? What is that? Okay, all right. Go on to the next. Clarify and replay. Clarify and replay is quite obvious. You're playing the video, you look at students' faces, they look like a bit puzzled, you stop, you clarify. You stop, you explain. And maybe you go back and replay, okay? So this is another while watching strategy. Question, of course, at a certain point of the video, you are going to stop the video and maybe ask questions. Two possible categories for questions, close-ended and open-ended. If you want to do close-ended questions, which means questions that can be answered yes or no, these are good for concept checking, yes? And if you're more interested in getting students sharing their knowledge or what they think they know, you're going to ask open-ended questions. What is that? What do you know about pharaohs? Yes, etc., etc. Another strategy would be to sequence, that is to have 3 shorter clips of the whole video. Instead of showing the whole video, you have 3 shorter clips, you show them in a jumbled order, and then you ask students to put the bits in order and justify why. Okay, this is good to work on the language of sequencing. All right. And our last during watching strategy is infer. I really like this one because inferring means that you have to think. So this is good for critical thinking, for higher order thinking skills, okay? You don't want your students just watching and relaxing. You want students on their seats, paying attention and thinking. Okay, I'm going to show you, yes, a little bit of this video. And what I want you to do is, I want you to tell me, oh, wait, come on. I want you to tell me if you can identify where this is, what city this is. So some of the things we can infer are characters, thoughts based on body language, so we can link verbal and non-verbal communication. We can also infer setting based on cultural aspects, which is what we are going to do now. And we can also infer actions beyond the screen. What's happening that we don't see, okay? All right, let's play a little bit of this, very, very short, and see if you can identify which city this is.
Augmented reality to show the 36 sculptures of the exhibition. These digital sculptures are made by famous artists. Acute Art has organised the show. Isabella Herrig does the marketing for the company.
This piece is quite interesting also because some of the elements on the table are interactive.
The coronavirus has caused problems for art exhibitions.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it. And I'm just going to give you the clues. Maybe you've seen it, but you could have identified the River Thames. You could have identified the downtown London there. There's a moment where you can see St. Paul's, yes. There's a moment where you can see the double-decker buses. So all that information, does culturally related information that some students may recognize, okay? All right. So this is the summary of during video strategies, and we're going into the last bit. And for after viewing, yes, after viewing, you have already watched the whole of the video. What can you do? Okay, you can have students summarize, analyze, reflect, and create. Let's start with this video.
This person is using a longboard. Longboarding is a sport. Now people are dancing on longboards. There are videos of longboard dancing on the internet. Longboard dancing started in America. There is a longboard dancing competition every year. But this year, coronavirus changed things. Now, the competition is online. In the competition, people make videos of longboard dancing. They put the videos on Instagram. Lotfi Lamali watches the videos. He decides the winner of the competition.
Okay, that's enough. So we're going to do the after watching activities based on this video, all right? Let's see. First of all, you can summarize what happens in the video. And you can summarize by using graphic organizers, just write a summary, or you can summarize using graphic organizers. If students are not familiar with summarizing, using a graphic organizer will give them some structure, okay? So this is an image that shows the immense variety of graphic organizers that you have, all right? Summarizing is good for identifying key concepts and language, all right? So summarizing is our first strategy. Let's go on to the next, analyzing. Analyzing also can be done using graphic organizers if you need to give students a structure on what to look out to analyze if they are not familiar with the concept of analyzing. You could also do compare and contrast, yes? And the Venn diagram graphic organizer is great for that. So for example, you could compare longboard skating with longboard dancing. So students would have to find out about both. And whatever is similar would go in the intersection of the circles, and whatever is different will go on the sides. And this is similar to what Cecilia mentioned at the beginning, that you can compare the video with the text, okay? All right, analyzing. Another thing is to reflect or critique. Reflect is good to share personal opinions, and critique is good for setting for and against arguments, okay? And this can be done in written form or orally, it doesn't matter. The important thing is that you give students time to reflect on what they have seen. The last strategy we have today is creating, and creating is a really good strategy if you do project-based learning. So you can have students creating another follow-up video, create a podcast about longboard dancing, for example, or as you heard, their videos are on Instagram, so you could go check Instagram for these videos, have students choose, do a contest that choose what the best videos are, what the best dances, longboard dances are, and justify. So lots and lots of possibilities for doing things with videos. So we are at the very end, and I know I'm on time. So these are 5 key takeaways for me that you need to remember. The first is be selective. Be selective in terms of what video you choose, how often you choose videos, what strategies you use when you watch the video. You don't want to be using all the strategies we've seen today with a 2-minute video. It's crazy. So be careful, be selective. Provide a mission. Remember, the purpose of watching is essential. Students need to know before watching why they are watching. This turns watching into an active learning activity. Think of accessibility and differentiation, and that means accessibility, for example, in terms of using the closed captions, but also in terms of choosing the same video at the right language level, or if you're using the same video on the same language level for all your students, have a range of graphic organizers to scaffold the task, okay? So think of accessibility and differentiation when you use video, when you use anything in your classroom, really, not just video. Don't overload students while watching. If you are watching a 2-minute video, you don't want to do a lot of things while watching because it will turn the video unbearable. So why are you going to watch the video like 20 times? It doesn't make any sense, okay? So be selective in terms of what strategies you are going to do while watching. And the last is pause to ponder. Give students time to think before and after, yes? Give students room to express their opinions, to write their opinions, all right? Okay, good Lord. I think this is all for me. So lots of strategies. You don't need to use them all. Some good ideas for why you should use video and how to choose the right video. I hope that this has been useful. And I am sorry if there is not much time for questions. Adam?
Hi, Vicky. Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great.
These are the references, sorry. And yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you very much, Vicky, for that amazing webinar. We've just got a very few questions here. I think we'll try and squeeze a couple of minutes in for that.
Yeah, super, super, yeah.
And the first one says, does the appropriate length of a video depend on the level of the students? And lots of people have asked this question.
According to research, it doesn't. Not the length of the video, but the content of the video would be relevant to the student's level, probably.
Right, thank you. And then the next question is how to engage rural areas students by video so that they can learn more. And this person's writing from India. Okay,
so in this case, I would say that that maybe you are not using video synchronously. Remember that this session is specifically about using video synchronously. If, of course, there are many, many other ways of using video asynchronously, and this will be touched upon in the other sessions in this webinar series, okay? But again, it depends on the purpose of the video. If you want to work on language, if you want to work on content, Yes. And if video is going to be the primary source of information for your students. All right.
Thank you. And let's just take one last question. I think it's a really important one. What do you think of making students produce their own videos?
I do that all the time. Of course, this session was not about video production, but in the after watching strategies, we had create. And in the create section, I would definitely go for students creating their own videos. And I have done that and it works really well. And even with primary students, where you wouldn't want students to appear on videos, they don't need to appear. They can film other things and create videos without appearing in the videos. So this is safe for every age and every level.
Thank you, Vicky, very much indeed. And I'd just like to say to you, it's been great having you here. Thank you for that really informative talk. And just to remind everyone that this month you can get a 50% discount on the teacher's edition of Sensations English and get a 3-week CPD program starting at the end of May by going to sensationsenglish.com, subscribe teacher, and please join us for the full Using Video in ELT series. Vicky's talk was the first talk of the series. Next week at 2 p.m. on Thursday, the 13th of May, we've got Cecilia Nobre talking about how to design an effective video-based lesson plan. So really carrying on from Vicky's talk today. Then we've got Sophia the following week, Sophia Mavridi talking about asynchronous video-based lessons, which Vicky just mentioned. And then finally, Russell Stannard on the 27th of May, talking about making best use of the Sensations English platform. So please do come along to those. We're also on social media, and please follow us on social media. I'm just popping those links into the chat for you now. And also take advantage of the special offer that we have this month, and follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all of those ways to keep in touch and get more advice on learning. Vicky, oh sorry, I haven't had my camera on. Vicky, thank you ever so much. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, it's been a pleasure. I'm sorry I could not have more time for questions, but indeed, I'm on social media. You know where to find me, and you can contact me and I'll be happy to answer your questions. People were asking about the presentation and a handout, and I will make it available to Adam and he will share with you, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. It will be on the webinar page. I popped that link in the chat before, but I'll do that again before we close. Vicky, thanks very much. It's still quite early over in South America where you are, so enjoy your day.
It's 7 in Peru, so if there are any people from Peru, thanks for joining us so early. And it's 9 here in Argentina, and have a good day.
Yeah, and it's 1 o'clock here in the UK. Good day, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you very much and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.